Hi guys, it's Carol again. Welcome back to my channel. And if you haven't done so just yet, please like and subscribe and please share with a friend. Guess what guys, this is my 90th video. Yes, it should have been more, but nonetheless, we're here. Yay! So, the next 10 videos, I plan on making it very exciting. And at the 100th video, we will have a giveaway. Okay, so stay tuned for that. So right now, what we are going to do is, I believe we are going to do the opposite hand on this video. Yes, indeed. So the last video I put out, we did the left hand with my right hand. And so we're going to be doing some non-dominant hand work with foils. What an adventure. So I have not been using foils for some time. And I was like, hey, you know, rather than going back down and soaking another set off, I wanted to extend the set that I had. And I wanted to do it as healthy as possible, so I decided to do some foil work. So I'm working with my e-file here. I just showed you that I put it on reverse. And in order to do that, I turn the e-file on and I bring the e-file to 0 and put it on reverse before I actually turn the speed on. I'm also introducing a, what do you call this? My dust collector. I have one guys, and I know I'm really bad. I don't always use it when I need to, but this time I remembered to use it, and I want to remind you, if you have one, please use it in conjunction with a face mask. Okay, so of course this is like watching paint dry. I'm using a very coarse bit, and I am removing as much of the gel as well as the acrylic powder all the way down to the clear. All right, and it's sped up because I feel that's simply enough that that's what I'm doing. All right, there's nothing really to see here other than I'm showing that that's a process to getting from the length that I was to extend my nail and make them longer. I'm also working from home, so my table is not set up the way it would be if I was in the shop. So there is just stuff around me. Okay, so I'm comfortable. I'm at home. I don't even know if I'm wearing pants. Okay, so anyways, so we're removing product. And at this point, if you have any lifting, I believe I've already changed a bit out, and I'm now using a arbor band or a sanding band to remove any lifting that may have occurred. And whether or not I have lifting, I usually pay attention to the back of the nail because I want to make sure that my structure is sound when I extend the tip to make them longer. All right, hopefully that makes sense to you, that whether or not you see in lifting, if there is any compromise to the structure of the nail, you really want to police that up at this point in the game. And because I'm doing non-dominant hand work, the way I would anchor my pinky finger on my opposite hand with, if I was using the right hand to the left, it's a little bit challenging for me at least to do it on the opposite side. So even though I'm doing it right here, I don't do it for long periods of time. I like to put my hand down on something to stabilize me so that the e-file is not jumping all over, potentially cutting me or my guest if you were working on someone. All right, so after I've finished removing the bulk with the coarse bits, I felt like I needed a little bit more work, so I went in with the sanding band. Today I counted out 6 of the forms because the day before I was struggling with the whole roll. I am using my, my Young Nails protein bond, And today I am going to be using well, I'm going to attempt to use it because you're going to see I had some challenges along the way. And the problem was, in my collection, I have 100% acetone, and then I do have some nail polish mixed with acetone, which was not completely 100%, and you'll see the challenges I end up running into. Of course, like in the last video, I told you whenever I pour acetone into a clear bottle, I store it in a black bag or in a cool dark place, because you don't want to compromise the integrity of the product in the bottle with light passing through it. All right, so that's the reason why I have a little black pouch. I bought some jewelry from Paparazzi and it came in the pouch, and that's what I use. Rather convenient. So here, guys, we are removing a foam from the packaging that it came in, on the strip that it came in. I'm tearing the upper part of the foam, and then on the bottom I stick the bottom together. That's how you do that. And I started on my thumb, which my husband reminded me, a thumb is not a finger, it's a thumb. And I am forming the form to my finger, and we're going to be using the numbers on the form to estimate the length that we are going to make these nails. So this is part 2 of the first video. One of them was doing the left hand, one is doing the right hand, and they run pretty long, so I had to do them 2 separate shows. All right, so if you were interested in following along with me and you did the right hand, it's like, well, geez, Carol, what am I supposed to do now with the left hand? I took care of you, baby. There is going to be a couple of challenges, of course, because I'm doing non-dominant hand work. It's going to look very different than the stuff I did with the dominant hand. And I'm here to tell you that if you're doing forms for the first time, you're going to probably be challenged as well. And like I said, I do them all the time, but I haven't done them on me. And so join me for this awesome adventure. So we are going to go in with some Valentino Classic Nude. And I'm obsessed with nudes lately, guys. I don't care which brand it was. If it was a nude, I am obsessed. Okay. So we have the Valentino, and I picked it up. And on this particular nail, I'm still trying to figure out how much Monama this big brush is holding. All right. This is like the second time I'm attempting to do nails with such a huge brush. But I have to tell you, I'm enjoying it. So I'm using the body of the brush here, and I'm sort of like molding the product onto the form, extending it from the free edge of my nail that had some old product on it. Now, if you pinch and expand the video here and throughout the rest of the video, you're going to see, I call it a struggle, but I don't know that that's the right descriptive word for it. But I will say that while working with the non-dominant hand, I felt like I had a little bit less control of the product, but nonetheless, at the end, when you look at the work, you would not really feel that way, right? So ultimately, you want to do what it is you have to do to make the set work. And I feel like I did. On this nail also, I noticed when I was hand filing it that I did not pay much attention to the thumb on the inner side. So right now I'm on the outer side. On the inner side, I did not get enough product in there, so it was slightly one-sided. But girl, it don't matter. By tomorrow these nails will be gone anyways. But there is, when you're working with your non-dominant hand, there are certain things that you may want to pay attention to a little bit more than you probably would if you were using your dominant hand. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. All right, so at this point, normally I would be using my right hand to pick up the product and transfer the brush. But for some reason, I felt like I wanted to big dog this and do the pick up and clean the brush and everything with my left hand. So consequently, the brush started picking up I end up leaving product in the brush that probably needed to be cleaned out. And you want to stay tuned for the challenge that I had cleaning the brush. And I will highlight that when we get to it. Once again, this is another long video. It's going to run for a little bit. And you might want some popcorn, you might want to drink, you might want to put your legs up on something and chill. Right? Join me, guys. Please, please like and subscribe. Please share with a friend. We're trying to grow this channel, and we are trying to give away some products for the 100th video, which I hope will be coming soon. I'll probably do some unboxings and some other stuff like that with you guys. Two videos back, we were talking about your brush and the brush size. And I'm going to practice with this brush on myself because it is the largest brush I've ever used until I get comfortable with using it before I venture out on my guests. Oh, maybe I'll just do it. So right here, I'm just trying to build up the thickness and the shape of the nail, and making sure that it looks like a nail on the form before I even take them off. And then I pick up another bead and I'm filling it in from the back so I can have, you know, the apex coming in. We're gonna need it to be stronger. This nail, the thumb, was actually built up really thick, so that just means you have to do a lot of hand filing and possibly e-file. Buckle up, guys. So this is long nail season. It's the holidays. People are beginning to, whether you believe it or not, the holidays have already started as far as I'm concerned. You have Labor Day coming up. We have, well, Halloween is going to come up before that. And you have Labor Day. Not Labor Day. Veterans Day. Goodness gracious, Carol. Veterans Day. And then we would be having parties and Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and all this exciting stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, it's long nail season. It's a nice aerial view of what we got going on. So right here you can see me beginning to pay attention to my brush. So in that jar, it's a shot glass I got in St. Kitts. I have what I thought at the time. I hadn't used it for a long time. I thought it was 100% acetone. But what it actually was, my husband had bought me what he believed was 100% acetone from Walgreens, and it was actually nail polish with acetone in it. Guys, it gummed up like 3 brushes by the time I was done doing what I was doing, and it wasn't until I went back downstairs and got 100% acetone did I actually get my brush clean. And I was just going through brushes and couldn't figure out every time the product built up, and once again it's building up because I'm using my non-dominant hand, why I couldn't clean the brush when I was using. After it kind of got gummed up, I had some brush cleaner and I tried using the brush cleaner, and the brush cleaner couldn't get the gum out, and the only thing could get the gum out was I'm just working it, was the 100% acetone. Thank God I had some in the house. I'm just trying everything I know how to get that brush to clean, and eventually I will abandon it for another one, and then the other one, abandon that for another one. So because I was putting it in the acetone or the nail polish remover stuff, I was making sure that when I put it back in the Monama that it got saturated with Monama. Otherwise it would not pick up the beads properly. So if you notice, the bead that I put down there was a slightly runnier than I would have wanted it to be, and so I am chasing it. Don't do that, guys. Make sure when you put your beads down that they are stable enough so that you can keep it in the form where you wanted it to be. I also wanted to remind you guys, like I did on the last video, that I am at home and I did not have a pincher to pinch the nail once it started drying. So if you're wondering, Carol, do you pinch? Yes, I do pinch. I just didn't have one here with me, therefore I couldn't pinch it at home. So once your form is semi-dry, you might want to take the pincher and pinch it so it gets a little bit of a curve to the nail. So I am just continuing on constructing the index finger. And this was one of those projects where you had to trust the process. I just really wanted to get the product on my nail, and then I was confident enough that I can shape it and file it the way I wanted it to, because the struggle was real, guys. And as you can see, I did switch the brush out, and so now the size 20 that I was using is soaking. And if you've ever had bread soaked in water and the bread swell, that's what happened to the brush. And I started panicking because it's a fairly new brush I purchased, and I couldn't understand why the brush was responding to the cleaner the way it was. And don't sniff your acetone directly, guys. I sort of like tilted the bottle sideways so I didn't get a full fumes up in my nose. And when I smelt it, I realized it smelt like there was something other than acetone in the bottle, right? You can actually smell a weak undertone of acetone, and it had smelled like a nail polish remover. So that was my clue that something, that the product wasn't. And the reason why we had it in a bottle other than the original bottle is because I broke the cap of the bottle and needed to put it in a separate container, and I did not label the container as to what it was in there. So sometimes we drop our products and break the containers. If you do, you might want to label what's in it so you don't have the issue that I had. But it had me perplexed for a little while last night. So if you look at this one, it's a little bit chunky and a little bit deformed, maybe, lack of a better word. No worries, guys. I'm going to show you how I whip these bad boys into shape. As long as I got it thick enough in all the right places that I wanted it to, I knew I was going to be able to work it out. So here it is. I'm trying to clean that brush again, and I made a spill. You see that gummy, chewing gummy? You know, the product was trying to remove the buildup, but it was just so, ugh. I don't know how to describe it, but I'm making a mess. I'm fighting with the brush. So at this point, I just decided to fold another piece of tissue and cover up the mess and hope it didn't destroy my table. The things I do for you guys. Right, so it's in that container, and I'm pouring even more, guys. If it doesn't work, put some more on it. Oh, silly me. Tricks are for kids. Yes, so that's what was happening. Sometimes you have to laugh at yourself, folks. Don't be that serious about everything. We put it back in. And the other one is gummy as well. And I was like, what is going on? I'm fighting those brushes, boy. I'm telling you, it was a struggle. So apart from, it wasn't even so much that I was using my non-dominant hand where the struggle came in. The struggle was when you're using the products and you're not sure what you're using, and there was just a lot. But nonetheless, y'all know I'm good for it. I will put my vulnerabilities out there. It's okay to be vulnerable, guys. That's the only way you're going to get help. All right, so we're going to put on another form. I love these forms. They're just the right thickness. They're just the right size. And they do stick. And I'm making sure it's straightened out and there is no gapping underneath the form and my nail. How many brushes does it take to complete a set when you have the wrong cleansing products? 3. So I held the bead for a second so it's just less runny than the one we did before. I promise, guys, on the next go round, I will, matter of fact, when I'm finished this video, I have to go into a meeting and then I'll come back and complete this video. But I will order some Valentino Monama because I've been out for a while and I'm substituting. And some products you really just need to use the manufacturer's recommended product. All right, so if you guys hold tight, I'll go into my Zoom meeting. I'll come back and I will finish this video momentarily. All right, guys, I'm back. Had an amazing meeting and I am excited to finish this video with you guys. So once again, we just doing repetitious work here. We are building the nail on a form. If you're just joining us, we are once again building a nail on a form, and I'm using some forms that I got on Amazon, and we are building it to the length of the number 7 on the form, so we know what length we're going for. And this is some non-dominant hand work going on here. So if you pinch and expand the video, you can see it is probably not the smoothest lay I have ever put down, but it is one of those things. If you are doing non-dominant hand work, I just wanted you guys to know, don't be too hard on yourself. As long as you have the skills, you have the foundation, you put the product down where you want it. If it's kind of bulky or whatever, there is always hand filing, e-filing, buffing. There's just a lot of stuff you can do to form the nail back where you want it to. And I know a lot of nail techs that cannot work on themselves on the opposite hand. So if you have the ability to even put it down rough, you have abilities that some people just don't have, right? E-filing, hand filing, buffing, shaping is where your salvation is going to be. So we got 3 of them in the works here. We got 2 more nails to go. And we're just going to keep working at it until we get to the point where all 5 of them are done. So while I am doing the voiceover on this video, I am also running my last post, my last video that I posted at the same time, just to get an idea of how long it was taking me working with my non-dominant hand, working on the dominant hand, to see if there was a lag in how much time it was taking me to perform the service. And so far, I'm just behind on 1 nail. So on the non-dominant hand, I am on my middle finger, and on the dominant hand, I'm on the ring finger. So the time difference wasn't that much. It wasn't much of a difference in time to get the job done. Right. So, you know, just keeping pace of what I'm doing, and setting up, you know, just pacing myself, just to have an idea of whether or not it's really that much of a difference on the dominant to the non-dominant hand. I think the time is about the same. The craftsmanship is a little bit different because on the opposite side, it's a little bit, it went down a little bit rough. But like I said, I don't know if anybody who can really do exactly the same with the opposite hand. Overall, guys, it was fun for me doing it, and to still see that I had the skill to do it. And I haven't done forms on myself since maybe about 8 months ago. But isn't it great to know that you can reconstruct a set? So rebalancing the nail doesn't necessarily have, or some people will call it like a fill in today's language. You go in for a fill. It doesn't always have to be that your fill is just cleaning up the back and restructuring the nail that way. You can restructure or rebalance full length as well. Yes, indeed, you can. And would this be something you would offer your clients who are coming in and I can't remember when I went to the salon and I wanted my nails longer. We would literally just have to grow it in, not cut it down when I go in for my 2-week appointments. But you can have it instantly longer if you wanted to. So I guess the key here is keeping the brush clean, wiping off in between, picking up a bead and let it solidify to the point where it's not runny. This particular nail, if I'm remembering correctly, this particular nail gave me a little run for my money because from an aerial view, I think that's the one, went down a little bit crooked. And what we had to do was file it on the opposite side to straighten it out. So it's leaning a little bit to the left here. And so we had to file it to make it lean to the right and straighten it out. So overall, nothing that could not be fixed. But forms does give you, and at this point, if I had noticed it at the time I was putting it down, I could have still straightened it out because the nail was not totally solidified, but I didn't notice it at the time I was doing the nail. So as we continue to build and structure this nail, each one of them that I put down, I automatically start thinking, okay, I'm looking at it. What will I have to do to bring this nail into compliance when that time comes? While I'm still working on it, I'm trying to perfect it. And then once it hardens, I'm looking for, okay, this is where I need to go with unifying these nails and making them all look the same. Are you still being challenged by forms? At this point, I am removing some of the forms that was already set. That gives me a little bit more freedom to move my fingers around. If you don't have that issue, you can just go ahead and leave them until you have completed the whole process. But I needed to be able to move my fingers without the little wings hanging down on the bottom. And I'm looking at it from the bottom. You can see the little runny things on the side. Those are some of the stuff that I will have to fix while I filing and shaping. And finally, we're moving on to the last nail. Once again, same thing. We're just doing the same thing over and over. Tear the top of the form, fit it to my finger, wrap it around. The key right here is to make sure that the form is on your finger straight, guys. Trust and believe you me. Is this a method you've ever tried before? What are some of the challenges you've had with reconstructing a nail? And like in the other video, after I was finished taking the forms down, I literally had to go back in and fill in spots where the nail was too thin, didn't have enough product, or whatever the situation is. This video runs for about an hour and 35 minutes. And we're just about 37 minutes into this video. I'm going to let you watch for a second, and then I am going to come back with a little bit more commentary on exactly what it is I'm doing. I just love long nails, guys. I'm back. It's not practical. You'll hear me say that on all of my videos whenever I do long nails. It's not practical for what I do, but it sure is fun. And my husband and I would be cruising for the first time in April of next year. And I cannot wait to do some seashell, something, mermaid, something type of nails for my cruise. And you better believe it's going to be long. And I'm beginning to practice my form work right now because I want to build them on a form. So once I get this particular nail done, the pinky nail done, we've already removed the forms on the previous nails that are dry, and now we are just finally working this bad boy. And we'll remove them and we'll do some hand filing and some e-filing. We will also have to go back in and fill in some void spots where the nails was not completely filled in. And there are certain places where I could cut out when my hand go off script, but there is some value as soon as I pull my hand back that I didn't want to lose. So forgive me for going off the grid. At this point, take a good look at your work and try and figure out, whether you have to go fill in some spots, possibly what shaping technique you're going to use. Are you going to hand file it? Are you going to e-file it? And on this one, I spent a lot of time on the thumb before I actually really figured out I didn't have enough product on the inner side. But they were beautiful, and no set is actually perfect. So when I'm hand filing, my hand file of choice is the not polished rectangular 8080. I love those files. They fit into my huge hands perfectly. They're very clean and sharp. What's your favorite hand file? Leave it in the comment section. Let me know what's your favorite. Maybe I'll love to try it. So what I'm doing right now, guys, is pretend that what we have right now, the stage where we are, is the stage you would be at when you first put your tips on. You stick the tip down and you are sort of like cutting and filing it into shape. It's not your final shape, but you're cutting it into shape, and then we actually gonna fill in with acrylic. Now, somebody might be saying, well, Carol, if that's the case, why didn't you just use a tip? So, like we discussed before, my hands is a little bit bigger than the average woman's hand. That's just the way God made me. And so sometimes when I use the pre-formed tips that you purchase in the box, they end up looking skinny on my hand, and it doesn't fit my hands naturally the way I think if my nails were supposed to actually grow this long, what it would look like. So I prefer to do my long nails on a form, so I can actually form it to my finger. So that's one of the advantages of using forms. Have I done them before? If I'm doing the long straights, yes, I can use the long straights and feel like it fit my hand appropriately. But sometimes when I do the long stilettos, it just does not fit my hand. As far as my eyes are concerned, it's not aesthetically pleasing. And so I will take my chances with building something that actually fits my hand. Right? I have relatively big hands for a female. And I believe that comes from, I've been a hairstylist for forever. Just working your hands a lot. You build muscles like anything else in your hands. So we just basically doing a bunch of cleaning up the spillage on the side and kind of taking these nails in the direction of a stiletto that I wanted it to go into. This one came out a little bit apexy, and I'm going to have to work that down. And I'm filing from the sides, the top, the bottom, to sort of like bring them into shape. This one is a little bit long, and that foam is getting in my way, so we just remove that. I guess I could have taken either a nail clipper or a tip cutter. It was thin enough on the ends on some of these and just clip the tips off, but I hand filed them instead. As I am hand filing, you see me using my thumb against the nail to create some stability. On this particular nail, like I told you, it came out a little bit apexy, so I'm kind of buffing that down. Some of these videos that the latest ones I've been putting out have been relatively lengthy videos. So, I am taking some time to just take a breather in between narrating over these videos. So here I decided it's time for me to go back in and actually put some more acrylic on them, and I'm fighting with those brushes again. You see the gum. Ooh. At this point, I'm panicking because I'm thinking I just purchased that brush and what is going on with it? So I decided to leave this part of the video in so that you can see the struggle I was having with the brush. So I know there is a lot of, I wouldn't call it controversy, a lot of different methods people use for cleaning their brush. So some people would say they use acetone and not acetone, Monama, and soak it in Monama and then take the build up out of the brush. At this point in the game, I don't think that was going to work because the acetone mixture really gummy up the product in the brush more than I've ever seen product gummy up in a brush. So now I'm on a third brush, and this is the brush that is going to take me through the rest of the way. And it wasn't until after I was finished, like I said previously, and I went downstairs and got some 100% acetone, that I realized for sure it was the solution that I was soaking the brush in. So if you go to CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, and you get something that is nail polish remover and it has acetone in it, if it's not 100% acetone, you probably do not want to soak your brush in it. I would hate for anybody to have the experience I just did trying to clean my brushes. All right, so now that I am off of the forms and I kind of pre-shaped them slightly in the direction that I wanted to go in, you can see now that I am laying the acrylic. I am laying the acrylic and forming these into an actual nail that look like a nail. But like I said, the benefit to this for me was that I can get it to fit my hand, proportionate to the size of my hand. In a way, sometimes I can't get the tips when I'm doing stilettos or almonettos to fit. I'm doing some reverse beadwork. Some reverse beadwork. And just really making them look like a nail. Pardon my silence, guys. There's not much to say. I just want you to pinch and expand and appreciate the work that I'm putting in here. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section, and I'll be happy to answer you on what was going on here. But just to recap, we build these nails on forms. After they dry, we took the forms off, kind of pre-shaped them like you would do if you were using the preform tips, and Right now, we're just filling in the gaps where we may not have laid the acrylic down nicely. And I will be back when we get to the either the hand filing or the e-filing. I was just there playing tic-tac-toe with my hands. When the nails get long, sometimes I'm like, how do I hold my hand to do what I want trying to do? At this point in the game, when you're working, are you imagining what do you have to do to create the vision you have in mind? At what point do you start thinking about what you need to do and if whether or not you have the skills to do what you need to do to fix these nails? There comes a point when it's too late to do something or to think about it if it wasn't part of the ongoing process of what it is you're doing, that you're actually thinking about what it is you have to do. So we rounding up to about the first hour. It's 58 minutes into this video, and it runs for about an hour and a little bit over an hour and a half. So right now, I think I'm happy. I'm okay with when I refilled it. And so I'm going to clean up a little bit and get ready for the next process. So at this point, I'm getting ready to do some e-filing. So I put on a fine drill bit. I'm turning my e-file down to 0, put it on reverse, and then I'm going to increase the momentum. All right, that's just a little bit of good practice for prolonging the life of your e-file, because there is a motor in there and you don't want to stop it abruptly and turn it the opposite direction. It will do it, but it will potentially damage your motor. Okay, so right now I'm just going around the cuticles, cleaning up the side walls. And doing some work on this nail. And if I'm not mistaken, I will actually come back and build this nail. It was a lot of work doing the non-dominant hand. It did not come easy, but I was happy with the end result. And then the last thing I'm going to do with this set is I am going to do another video where I take all the embellishment off, I cut them down, and show you how I'm going to bring this nail set back to just a short, regular, everyday set. Then I'm going to go out and purchase some products for doing unboxing for the next set of videos, hopefully. So I'm using the e-file to help me cut into the side. So when I do them this way, they tend to be a little bit thicker than regular. So I use the e-file to help me cut into it. At this point, I think I'm gonna try and fill that nail in shape-wise. Yep. Yo, I'm so aggressive. So we passed the 1 hour mark by about 2 minutes. Have about 32 minutes left. If you need to take an intermission break, you can go ahead and pause the video and do that and come back and pick up where we left off. Yeah, so I am here filling in the blanks. As I was saying, on the side there, you can actually see where I could have come down more on the form. And I guess you can, if I would pick up a bead dry enough, I could have put it in on the side and fill that in, but I wasn't really seeing that while I was working it until just now while I'm doing the voiceover. And you know what, guys? My videos I go back and I look at my videos all the time, and when I'm working on myself is so different than when I'm working on somebody else. I am constantly learning from myself, because then after the fact I can see from the consumer's perspective, your perspective, what it is I'm doing, and go back and pay attention to those things on my next video. So I'm not just talking to you guys, I am literally talking to myself when I am doing a voiceover. Some of the things I might not say it on the video, but I'm like, oh wow, I can police that up a little bit. I can do this, I can do that, just to make sure that I am practicing what I preach. Yeah, I be quick to throw them and files to the side for a not polished 8080 file in a heartbeat. And for those of you who follow me a lot knows that textures will burn a hole in my entire body. Um, if the texture doesn't feel right, I can't do it. Something that I did from a child. Everything was about it didn't feel right. My mom will try to introduce me to new foods, and I'm like, oh, I don't like it. But it tastes good. It doesn't feel good in my mouth. I never liked stuff like, what didn't I like? What do you guys call that stuff? It's marshmallows. Ew. It's like chewing on a sweet sponge. Not even if you roast it and put it between the graham crackers and make some more. So I'm like, mm-mm. Yeah, I'm big on textures. Banana pudding. Ugh. I don't care how much crackers you put in that. I don't want it. So enough about food. Is this nail beginning to look like a nail? And do you guys just do nail for fun, or is it always just serious for you guys? Okay, so I think we are done with that. And we're going to put those things aside. The thumb is ready to go. And we're going to try and whip this bad boy into shape. Yes, so I'm reshaping this nail from the bottom, from the sides, from the top. As I'm doing this voiceover here, I'm noticing that my Monama is still sitting in front of me. At this point, I think it would be a great idea if you're doing any hand filing, e-filing work to move the Monama from there. Do as I say, not as I do kind of situation going on here right now. But it's one of the things that goes back to me saying earlier that I go back and I learn from my videos. This is one of the things that I'm learning, that I need to move the monomer out of my way. And perhaps if you are following any instructions that I'm given, that at this point you would move it as well. I am not working directly over it, but I could only imagine that I am contaminating the monomer to a certain degree. Let me know if you agree with me that it is a possibility that we are getting particles of debris in the monomer. If you've ever e-filed your nail using a dust collector, you would literally see how far that dust is going. So at this point, I'm struggling because the underside of the opposite side of the nail is, we didn't put the acrylic down right there, so it's already kind of off shaped. Uh, and I'm doing everything in my power humanly possible to make it look aesthetically even to the opposite side. Do you find that when you take a break from using a particular method, especially with working with your non-dominant hand, that you actually get challenged by it? It is possible. I am making sure that I seal it and nothing is stuck to my skin. And right here, I am noticing that I'm running the e-file about 13,000 RPMs. I could have possibly gone up a little bit higher because sometimes if you run it too slow, it doesn't, do what you're asking it to do. So I could have gone up about another 5 to 18,000 RPMs. So I'm just going around the cuticle and the side walls and making sure it is free of flooding. I'm not sure if you caught that little bit of work I was trying to do on the underside. Let's see if I go back to it. Right here and underneath the nail, there is a little bit of a hang, and literally cleaning that up actually adds to what the shape of the nails look like. And it also looks like my apex is a little bit off balance, and at some point I must have gotten it because I'm looking at the nail right now and I'd straighten it up. So right underneath there, I just went to it. Am I turning it off? What am I doing? All right, I switched out for a safety bit, changed it to reverse, and then increase the RPMs. And so I'm still using a fine bit, but I switched out for a safety one, and so I can get into the corners. And I'm really getting into the places that I need to get into. And so this nail is beginning to take shape, minus the opposite side slightly off balance, but I wasn't going to make that be a problem. I need to practice on getting back into using forms. So underneath here is where I was talking about where some of the shape actually happens on the side of the nail. Right there. And I'm using the battery pack from the e-file as a hand rest, guys. Stability when you're working on yourself is super important. You might see the e-file jumping a little bit, and that's because if you're not stable, you can do that, and it's quite dangerous in some situations. So I'm back to hand filing them again. I think I'm going to do on the next couple of sets as a form work because I haven't done them in a while, and it's obvious that as the struggle. But the longer I worked them is the happier I was getting because I actually saw the shape coming into place. I wasn't about to give up, guys. Using my thumb for stability, and I'm really working with my file straight up and down. Now, guys, you don't have to listen to the voice on this video. You can turn the volume down and choose to just observe what I'm doing because I'm struggling to talk for an hour and a half. So you're probably struggling to listen to me ramble on. But I'm doing stuff like keeping my file straight up and down, working from the bottom. Just trying to perfect the shape and keep everything in proportion with each other. And right about here, it started to come into the proper shape, and it was definitely a work in progress, guys, and one of those trust the process type of situations. I'm trying to do this voiceover and keep getting breaking news on my phone. Pardon the interruption, guys. I'm subscribed to too many things. And I gotta take that app off of my phone. It's like news break, and it breaks with a bunch of dumb news. I don't care what Kanye West is doing right now. Kanye West and what's his name? P. Diddy. They got way too much money to be sensible, those two guys. And so all these interruptions that you're hearing on my phone is about what's going on with them. I do not care. It also looks like these nails on this hand is a little bit longer in some cases, especially that one, than on the other hand. Yeah, slightly longer. But like I said, I'm about to cut them off on the next video for you guys. So they wasn't really planning on staying on my nail. And I'm rubbing on the top. Remember we talked about this one being a little bit apexy. My little struggle video, guys. Non-dominant handwork. It's not always the easiest thing to do. So here we are. We finished with all the e-filing and the buffing. I think we skip out on the buffing a little bit. I realized that I had a little rough spot on the side and I had to go back and work on that some. So we're just going to buff it out a little bit more in the spots that I had some rough spots. So now I'm going to do a little bit of, what do you call it? Some OPI gel in the color of Bubble Bath. This was a never-ending set, guys. But I'm so proud of myself that I stuck to it and I worked it out and I finished it and I'm still presenting it. The non-dominant handwork was definitely harder than the opposite side. And that was a wash your hand moment, guys. But I had just got up to wash my hand. I was being lazy at this point. I am so obsessed with nudes and the bubble bath color right now. Most people would be into the fall colors, the darker browns and purples and stuff like that. And I don't know what it is, but I'm into the nudes right now. And I also feel like when I'm wearing my nails like really, really long, that less is more in terms of color as well. It could be a bit jarring, for the length and the color and the intensity. And um, yeah, that's just my story, and I'm sticking to it. So we right about down to our last 6 minutes. 6 to 7 minutes on this video. If you've hang along with me all this time, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for hanging in there and encouraging me. The non-dominant handwork was not the easiest thing for me to do, which remind me that even for me, I have to practice my skills or you will lose them. Okay? So right here, I am just designing the nail again. Um, and I was planning on doing something different than I did on the opposite side. I ended up doing practically the same thing, just in white instead of red, right? Um, I'm not sure if I am going to do the whole artwork with you guys here, but I did this artwork on the previous video, the one that came out right before this one. So at this point in the game, I'm just a little bit tired, and I was just like, I just want this video to be done. I usually don't do videos this long, and I know why. Lord, you gotta do the voiceovers on them. And I have to practice putting some music on them so that I don't have to talk so much. All right, so once again, I just want to say thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Please share with a friend. This particular video is my 90th video, guys. I am so excited about it. And I could remember this time last year, I was like, I'm going to hit 100 videos, and I'm still not there just yet. But the bottom line is I'm still sticking to the game, and it's not a race, it's a journey, and I'm doing so many things on my journey to get into where I want to be that it ain't even funny. But I'm not competing with anyone. I'm just competing with myself, right? So there are times when you'll see me knock out a bunch of videos, and then there are times when I'm like, oh God, I need a break. And it's okay. You guys are still here when I came back, so that's amazing. It's awesome. Thank you for being there. And if you haven't done so just yet, once again, please like and subscribe, share with a friend. If you know someone who can benefit from this content, please, 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 please share with them. And if there is something you would like to see me do, please share that with me. All right, so thank you so much in advance. And I'm hoping that I get through the finish with you guys. It doesn't seem like I had enough time to finish, but we shall see. And we have about 1 minute and 13 seconds left. And I would let you enjoy the rest of this process, the rest of the way. And once again, thank you for watching and have a great day. And here is the reveal. I hope you enjoyed it.